I can't believe it. I cannot believe it. My 1985 Backtracks video, it didn't even occur to me until after I'd already recorded, edited, and uploaded it that I totally forgot to consider Southern Accents by Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. Completely forgot. I don't know what came over me or what didn't come over me in the case, as the case may be. I guess it just kind of seals the deal that I'm going to have to pay my penance for making this oversight by redoing this list, maybe the whole year's lists, 10 years from now when the number 5 rolls around again. Anyway, incidentally, I probably would have put this at around number 9 or number 10 in my countdown. Greetings, one and all, and welcome once again to Tom's Hit Parade. By the way, I invite you to hit that subscribe button, give me a thumbs up if you like what you see, share this video with your friends, and leave me your thoughts down in the comment section. I would absolutely love you for it. So today we are marching right along on this year's Backtracks videos, counting down my top 20, usually, favorite albums from years that end in the number 5, considering we are doing this year's cycle, recording this year's cycle in 2025. We are going to do 1995 in this video. Yes, I hope you've been enjoying Backtracks this year. Been having a lot of fun doing these countdowns. But this is right about the point where I start having more fun with it, because the around about the mid 90s, a little bit later maybe, was when I actually started putting out my own feelers in terms of the music that I found and discovered and ended up really enjoying. It gets into that in right around the year 2000 is when the lists are really going to be different and weird. As I mentioned, all these lists are a little bit weird because these are my favorite albums of the years in question, not the best albums. So yes, they're going to be your absolute favorites that are not going to be on my list. And I just don't think there's any problem with that. I think that's the beauty of the YouTube music universe. But anyway, as I kind of said all that in the last month's video or in the 1985 video. So let's go ahead and get right along into my top 20 favorite albums plus 5 honorable mentions of the year 1995. Starting out with the 5 honorable mentions in alphabetical order, we have Jonathan Brooke and the Story with their album Plum. Yes, I discovered Jonathan Brooke right about 2007 with her album. Shoot, I can't remember what the name of it was, but really enjoyed that one, and just kind of started uh, investigating her catalog after that, and really have come to enjoy her. She's probably one of my favorite female artists of the 90s. So yes, this has a lot of uh, folk jazz pop. Yeah, folk jazz pop, I think, is a good way to describe Jonathan Brooke. And yes, this album incidentally was released on the GRP label. I think this was the only album released on that label, which is primarily a jazz label. So it's kind of maybe where the jazz sort of figures in. But yeah, if folk jazz pop sounds interesting to you, I would recommend checking out Jonathan Brooke and The Story. What She only recorded albums with her band The Story, 2 or 3 albums, and then from then on, it was just Jonathan Brooke solo. But yeah, very good stuff. And then we have this one, like a couple of the honorable mentions. I kind of wanted to put it in my ranked list, but there was enough competition that it kind of knocked this one out slightly. But here we have G Love and Special Sauce. This is their sophomore album, I believe, Coast to Coast Motel. I heard about these guys way back when they first started in the early 90s, but I had an acute dislike for hip hop back then, and G Love puts a fair dose of hip hop into his sound. But still, it's kind of hip hop with little R&B and maybe a little jazz, perhaps a little blues, probably blues more than jazz. But yeah, some good stuff on this album and on all of his albums. I've got his first 5 albums, I believe. But yeah, check him out if you like your music with a little bit of hip hop in it, maybe a little blues hip hop. And then we have The Return of the Space Cowboy. This is, I believe, the sophomore album by Jamiroquai, kind of an acid jazz chill hop sort of a group. Very good stuff. I really enjoy their stuff. I believe they had an album out in 2005, so you may be seeing that one somewhere, whether it's in the honorable mentions or the ranked list in my 2005 video. So Good stuff. I've got all of their albums, which I think are seven albums altogether. Found them in an eBay lot, the whole discography, and decided to grab it. And then we have this one is might upset some people, or some people might question my music tastes by leaving this one in the honorable mentions rather than the ranked list. One Hot Minute by Red Hot Chili Peppers. As I said, there's just enough stuff that I liked more than this to bump this one out of the ranked list of 20. But yes, of course, what was the Aeroplane was the big hit on here, I think. And I can't remember. Warped, I kind of like Warped as well. So, but yeah, lots of good stuff on here. This was what kind of like at the tail end of their golden era, I guess you'd say, with the Rick Rubin produced albums. But still, very very good. And I do kind of like me some Red Hot Chili Peppers. And then rounding out the um, list of honorable mentions is "The Woman in Me" by Shania Twain, classic country. This was her sophomore album, I believe. And yes, of course, "Any Man of Mine," the big hit on that one. And whose bed have your boots been under? I always swap those words. I don't know why. And she puts a great cover of "God Bless the Child" at the end of the album. So recommended, definitely. So quick wet my whistle there as we charge on into the ranked list of my 20 favorite albums of 1995. Starting off with one of my absolute favorite bands. Why are they all the way down at number 20? Well, this is probably my least favorite album of theirs. It is "Thank You" by Duran Duran. This was their covers album. And they did, let's see, "White Lines" by some hip hop group. I can't remember. "I Want to Take You Higher," which is Sly and the Family Stone. Watching the Detectives, which I believe was an Elvis Costello song. "Lay Lady Lay," which was a Bob Dylan track. Let's see, "Ball of Confusion," which was the Temptations, I believe. Just a good list of cover songs on here from, as you can see, from like the 60s all the way through to present day. But yeah, good stuff. They kind of put their stamp on each song. But then, of course, Duran Duran is a little, they have so much their own style and their own unique style that I'm not sure that a covers album really suits them very well. Just my opinion. But anyway, be that as it may, that was number 20. My number 19 favorite album of 1995 is "Time After Time" by Etta James. I don't think this was her final album. This was one of her final albums, though. A great collection of covers of Great American Songbook and other pop songs as well. Let's see, "Love Is Here to Stay," "The Nearness of You," the title track "Time After Time," which was Jimmy Van Heusen. It's not the Cyndi Lauper song. It's a different one. "My Funny Valentine," "Willow Weep for Me," "Night and Day," "Someone to Watch Over Me." Great collection of songs. Etta James doing what she does best, what she did best. Rest her soul. Good stuff. And then number 18 on my list. This is a not so guilty pleasure. And this is actually one that I almost forgot. I had the list all set up, and then I forgot a couple of albums, this being one of them, and had to give them a last minute listening. Uh, what can I say? "Boombastic" by Shaggy. Yes, a great reggae funk ish artist, reggae hip hop maybe. But "In the Summertime" is one of his biggest hits. The title track is great. I fell in love with the song "Boombastic" when it was in that. It was in a TV commercial about 10 years ago. It was a little dog walking down the street, with the song "Boombastic" playing in the background. Absolutely wonderful commercial. I loved it, and it kind of made me fall in love with the song, as I said. But yeah, lots of great stuff on here. He does a cover of the Harry Belafonte song "Deo," which is not bad. "Heartbreak Susie" was a good song. Um, "The Train Is Coming," as I recall, was really good. "Why You Treat Me So Bad." So yeah, a good collection of songs. If you're not if you're only familiar with Shaggy from his hits, I recommend checking this album out. There could be some deep deep discography dive songs in there that you might like. So anyway, what can I say? Hey, it's my list. It's not yours. Anyway, number 17, and here's another one that I kind of hinted at the beginning that around this time of my lists will have a lot of stuff that, or more and more stuff as the years go on, that a lot of you have never heard of. This would be another example of that. Remember Catalina. This is the debut album by Jeff Koshiwa. He is a jazz saxophonist. I know him as a member of the Rippingtons for several years. The Rippingtons is a favorite contemporary jazz band of mine. And so that's where I found out about him and his amazing saxophone skills. And yes, I've got 2 or 3 of his albums and really enjoy it. And he does a cover of Could It Be I'm Falling in Love by the Spinners? I can't remember who it was. And let's see, another song called The Asian Persuasion. So he has, that little sense of humor in there too. So yes, lots of fun, that one, if you like contemporary jazz. My number 16 favorite album of 1995 is 100% Fun by Matthew Sweet. Yes, it was a little higher earlier on before I did most of the listening for this list. But yes, this one got bumped down a little bit. I had this album a long, long time ago, or picked it up just because it looked like fun. It looked like 100% fun, and checked it out, but didn't really care for it back in the day. This was really before I knew who Matthew Sweet was. I didn't care much for his voice back then. I thought it was a little bit out of tune, a little bit rough, and it kind of made me wonder how this guy get a recording contract. He sounds kind of amateurish. That was how I felt it and how I heard that album way back when, as I said, before I knew who Matthew Sweet was. But yes, this album, and I've got 2 or 3 of his others. Obviously, he's grown on me, and I've seen his learned about his credentials and his skill and talent, and of course my tastes have refined as well. So, which is why I've come to appreciate this one again. Sick of Myself, the opening track, very good one, and We're the Same, another good song. Most of the songs on here are good. Um, let's see, Everything Changes. Let's see, Smog Moon. That was an interesting one. So yeah, a very good album by a rock, power pop-ish adjacent artist. That was number 16. Number 15 on my list is another one that very, very few of you have heard of. I discovered this guy. How did I discover this guy? Was it in a? I don't think it was in a bargain bag. I think it was just I just saw his album somewhere, picked it up, and really enjoyed it, and started picking up his subsequent albums. That would be Vance Gilbert, and this is his sophomore album, I believe, or at least his second album on the Rounder Records label, called Fugitives. Very good pop soul singer songwriter. Very, very good. He's got a good sense of storytelling in his songs and a good sense of humor as well in several of his songs. Dear Amelia is a very good song. Pound of Prevention is probably my favorite song on the album. And we've got Scene of the Crime, Just a Mirage, Spencer the Rover. So, yeah, lots of great stuff on this one and on all of his albums. I recommend checking out Vance Gilbert if you have not checked him out yet. Number 14 on my list is Home by the Blessed Union of Souls. This was their debut album, I believe, and it has their big hit single, I believe. And let's see, Oh Virginia, was that another one of their hit songs? Would You Be There? Forever for Tonight is another good one. All Along. Let Me Be the One is another very, very good song. So, yes, really enjoy these guys. I've got their first 3 albums. By their third album, they'd kind of gone into a more of a pop direction, but this was back when they had more of an Americana, Heartland-ish rock sort of sound to them. But yes, very, very good stuff. I highly recommend these guys if you have not heard, if you haven't heard them, or if you have only heard their hits, check them out. I'm gonna take a drink here. My throat is unusually dry today for some reason. Number 13, and I love this artist, except this would be a little bit higher, except this is, again, a covers album. It's kind of weird because I really like covers albums, but when it comes to, ranking and stuff, I can't help but bring covers albums down in the rankings a little bit just because it's not original material. by the artist. I mean, if all they ever do is covers and that kind of thing, like Michael Bublé or whatever, then obviously that's not going to be an issue. But anyway, for artists that do primarily original songs like Annie Lennox, I kind of have to bump them down a little bit, um, penalize them through no fault of their own. But anyway, yes, Annie Lennox's sophomore album Medusa is my number 13 favorite album of 1995, and she kind of puts her own stamp on a lot of these songs. Yeah, she's one of those artists that can get away with a covers album more than Duran Duran. But yes, "No More I Love Yous" was a big single. "A Whiter Shade of Pale," the Procol Harum song. "Train in Vain," the Clash song. And then "I Can't Get Next to You," which I can't remember who it was that did that one. "Thin Line Between Love and Hate," "Something So Right," "Waiting in Vain." Great collection of songs. She really does these songs justice, in my opinion. And yes, that's why she is at number 13 on my list. Number 12 on my list of favorite albums of 1995 is self-titled album by the Presidents of the United States of America. Of course, yes, between Peaches and Lump, the two big hits. This is just a fun album. Uh, they're not quite as irreverent and silly as those two hits might make them seem to those people who have not listened to more of their stuff. So I recommend checking them out. There's some pretty good stuff hidden in their album tracks, kind of like Bare Naked Ladies. A lot of Bare Naked Ladies hits singles are silly, funny songs, but they have a lot of substantial stuff hidden down in their discography. So check them out. I would recommend checking them out. Let's see. Stranger, I believe, was a really good song. We Are Not Going to Make It. Uh, and Naked and Famous, the closing track. Good stuff. I recommend. Excuse me. Now, number 11 is yet another album that nobody probably has heard of. It is Brain Junk by George Huntley. Now, George Huntley was the guitarist. I don't think he was the bassist, but he was a guitarist in a favorite North Carolina rock group of mine called the Connells. I've mentioned them in my videos before, not very often in the past few years though. But yes, obviously as a big follower of the Connells, I knew instantly when George Huntley put out his solo album, had to pick it up, and it's just become a favorite of mine. Now George Huntley would always have one song of his own on each of the Connells albums, and it turned out to be kind of standout. Usually in an okay way or a good way, occasionally in a bad way. But that kind of made me hesitate about an entire album of his stuff. But he really does, fortunately, and I think he probably realized that he had to, putting out an album of all of his own stuff, kind of dialed back the idiosyncratic stuff in his songwriting and his voice. But some excellent songs on here. The closing track, "Catch Fire," is perhaps my favorite. The song "Ever Want Me To," which actually is the next to last song, that actually got a music video. So probably if you go onto YouTube and look for "Ever Want Me To" by George Huntley, you'll get a music video and you'll get a idea for his sound. But yes, "I'll See You There" is a great song. "Free Man," the opening track. "Honestly," uh, "Stand Up Man," just an album full of great songs. As I said, this is a sentimental favorite of mine. I absolutely love it. Maybe it should have been higher. Maybe it should have been in the top 10, but I don't know. Just some other stuff that I haven't listened to this one a lot in the last 5 to 10 years. So that's probably why it's a little bit lower than it normally would be. But anyway, it is top 10 time. My number 10 favorite album of 1995 is "Music for All Occasions" by the Mavericks. Yes, the Mavericks, I think I've mentioned these guys before. They are a favorite Tex-Mex group of mine. Country with just a little bit of Latin music in it. The frontman, Raul Malo, a great voice. I'm one for kind of distinctive singing voices. He's got a great voice, and they've got a great sense of melody and lyric and just all around. And not to mention, don't you love this album cover? Just this 50s throwback album cover. I just love it. Probably my favorite album cover in all the ones that I've got in my list here. Yes, if we were ranking album covers of 1995, number one right here. Yes, Here Comes the Rain is a great, great song. All You Ever Do Is Bring Me Down. That is a duet with Flaco Jimenez. Foolish Heart is the opening track. The Writing on the Wall. And he closes out the album with a cover of Something Stupid, the classic American songbook standard. He does a duet with Trisha Yearwood on that one. But Missing You, My Secret Flame, just a great set of songs. I've got the first 5 albums by the Mavericks, and really, really enjoy them all. So yeah, if Tex-Mex music sounds like it might be up your alley, check out the Mavericks. Very, very good stuff. Number 9, and here for a change is one that a lot of you have heard of. Should it be higher on my list? Maybe. Just didn't have as many good songs, memorable songs as the hires up on this list. We have What's the Story, Morning Glory by Oasis. It is my number 9. And yes, of course, between Champagne Supernova and Wonderwall, this earns a spot in the list, of course. My 2 favorite Oasis songs, probably their two biggest hits. But plenty of good stuff in between those songs. Roll With It, Don't Look Back in Anger. That's another great, great song. Cast No Shadow, Morning Glory, the title track. So yeah, very good stuff. Not a huge Oasis fan, and in fact, that's the only Oasis album I have. But still, very, very good stuff. Number 8, and again, this might be one that's might be a little bit low ranked for some of you out there. Insomniac by Green Day. Yep. So many of the songs, and Green Day is one of those bands where I don't know the songs by their titles as much as I know them, when I hear them. But Geek Stink Breath and Brain Stew, Jaded, Armitage Shanks, and just so many more songs. This album is pretty much packed with great, great classic 90s pop punk stuff. Definitely earns its place in my top 10 for 1995. Green Day, Insomniac. Now, number 7. This is a bit of genre whiplash from Green Day to this, but here we have Picture This by Wet Wet Wet. Now, Wet 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 is one of those new romantic groups, kind of like Spandau Ballet, a bit more, strings and more ballad-leaning songs than most other groups. But yes, a bunch of great songs. Julia Says is the opening track. After the Love Goes. Let's see. Someone Like You, Don't Want to Forgive Me Now, She's All on My Mind, and this actually has what I think was their biggest hit, a cover of the Trogs song Love Is All Around. That's kind of the song that put Wet 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 on the map. So yeah, I have a soft spot for these guys. I think I have all but one of their albums. I'm still missing their first one, Popped In, Sold Out. Need to get that one on CD. But very good stuff in my opinion. That earns them the number 7 spot. And here again, number 6 is one that is definitely one that you guys don't know about. I keep doing this a lot, don't I? I don't know why. A little personal tick I have. Anyway, number 6 on my list is Prepare to Be Swayed by an artist who called himself Sway. Now, you've probably heard me talk about Espen Lind. He is a Norwegian singer-songwriter, and he is also half of the Norwegian production duo Espionage. Espen Lind and Amund Bjorklund is the other half of Espionage. But yes, this was the first album that Espen Lind ever put out on a pseudonym, under a pseudonym, of course, named Sway. This is a very interesting album. This is not the kind of stuff I would ordinarily be into. It's just that it's by Espen Lind. I am a huge Espen Lind fan and just had to have his complete discography. But yes, this you've got techno in here. You've got industrial rock, hip hop, R&B, hardcore, versions of several different genres. Yes, this album was way ahead of its time. Perhaps one reason why it did not do very well on the charts compared to his albums under his own name. Yum Yum Gimme Some is kind of a almost like a Hanson by way of Linkin Park, maybe. I don't know. I'm pulling names out of my where, but just trying to give you just a vague idea of what this sounds like. Um, Sweat is another interesting, really good song. Um, but then he also does a mainstream song or two. Missing Her Then is a great, great ballad. It's just wonderful. And American Love, another excellent ballad. And I believe those two both he redid and put on one of his future albums. But Blast Your Brain is another uh, one of those out there songs. And The Last Day of My Life is kind of like a spoken word thing with just kind of ambient stuff underneath it. So yeah, as you can see, this guy just kind of goes all over the place. And I as for all the reasons I just described, it is my number 6. I kind of wonder why I didn't put it higher on the countdown from describing all this stuff to you. But yes, you might want to check it out if you're curious about stuff that is just very, very strange, especially strange for 1995. Check out "Prepare to Be Swayed" by Sway. There's another artist out there called themselves Sway, but they're different. Anyway, number 5 by Sharp Contrast is an artist and an album that you have definitely heard of. Jagged Little Pill by Alanis Morissette. This one pretty much had to be in my top 5 for 1995. I mean, half the track listing is hit singles. You Ought to Know, Hand in My Pocket, You Learn, Head Over Feet, Ironic. And so, yeah, I mean, honestly, what can be said about this album that hasn't already been said? It belongs on this list for a very good reason. One of the defining albums of the 90s. Absolutely. So, yeah. Now, my number 4 is, believe it or not, somehow I forgot this one, kind of like, forgetting that Tom Petty album in the 1985 list. I had my list all put together and realized I'd forgotten this album. And I loved it enough that it's number 4, Made in England by Elton John. Yes, the title track, and then of course "Believe," the most successful single on this album. And let's see, "Please" and "Blessed," two more great, great songs. And the other songs on the track listing are no slouches either. It's just one of perhaps his best album of the '90s. But yes, excellent, excellent stuff. I don't know what possessed me to almost forget about putting Elton John on this list, especially in the top 10 or top 5. But yeah, Made in England definitely deserves its space for me in the number 4 spot on my list. My number 3 favorite album of 1995 is another very well known album. It is Daydream by Mariah Carey. And yep, One Sweet Day, Fantasy. And she does a version of Journey's Open Arms that, hot take here, I think is just as good, possibly even better than the Journey version, the original Journey version. I really enjoy it. She definitely takes that song and makes it her own, which kind of makes me wonder. I'd love to hear an album of cover songs by Mariah, unless she's already done one and I don't even know about it. I am not a Mariah Carey expert, just putting that out there. But yeah, just a very, very good album. Perhaps this is probably the last of what I consider the last of her really good albums, and it's the last album of hers that I own, at least right now. I might delve further into her discography later on, but yes, a great album. Yes, if Whitney Houston was the diva of the '80s, Mariah Carey definitely was the diva of the '90s. No question about it. Excellent stuff. Now, my runner-up for album of the year for 1995 is another one you guys probably have not heard of. Absolutely love this band. This album is fantastic. The album is called Thunk, and the artist is called 11, and this is their third album. And 11, way back at the beginning of my channel, I did a discography. It was a feature that I was going to do, several different artists' discography, going through each of their albums and talking about them. But I've only done one, my 11 episode, so check it out. But yes, these guys had 5 albums and each one I think was on a different label, so they were never able to really latch on to the chart success that I really think they should have deserved. They really should have had great success. 11 is perhaps one of the hardest or heaviest sounding bands that I enjoy. Their sound is kind of on the upper edge of the heavy stuff that I appreciate and enjoy. It's just I found their debut album, happened upon it, and then just kind of stuck with them. I liked it so much that I just stuck with them, and they were just great. Every album of theirs. Um, the song "Awful Lot" is my favorite song on this album, and perhaps my favorite 11 song. So listen to "Awful Lot" by 11. That's great, and a good demonstration of their sound as well. "Damned," the closing track, is excellent. "Nature Wants to Kill Me" is the opening track. "Seasick of You" and "You Will Know," and then yeah, just so many good songs. "Coming Down" is another one. "Why" is another excellent song. So yes, almost every song on this album is just fantastic, and that was my thoughts with all 5 of their albums were just fantastic. I love them. Unfortunately, they are no longer together. One third of the group, Natasha Schneider, unfortunately passed away from cancer. Oh, what's it been, 10, 15 years ago now? So yes, unfortunately, she was one of the key parts of the group, and I think they just decided after that to call it a day. And one of their drummers, they had 2 drummers throughout their career, and one of them worked, I can't remember if it was before or after his stint with 11, worked with the Red Hot Chili Peppers. So there's a Chili Peppers connection with 11. So anyway, great stuff. And I've gone on long enough about them and about my number 6 pick. Here we are. We have arrived at my number 1 favorite album of 1995. It is Deluxe by Better Than Ezra. This is another one of those albums I just kind of happened upon when I was putting out my feelers for new bands to listen to in the mid 90s. Listen to them, and again, the lead singer's voice uh, has a little bit of a deeper register than most, and just kind of has a unique sound to it. And I've just kind of latched onto them and didn't let go, and haven't let go since, basically. So yes, just a fantastic set of songs here. In the Blood, their opening track is great. Good, which was one of their hit singles. Rosalia, a fantastic song. That one's great. Cry in the Sun, Teenager. The closing track, Coyote, is excellent. I love that song. Just absolutely love it. And the song Porcelain is another great ballad. So yes, if you are not familiar with Better Than Ezra, I strongly urge you to check them out. There is good reason for all these reasons and more. My number 1 favorite album of 1995 is Deluxe by Better Than Ezra. So, how'd you like that list? I hope I didn't go through it too quickly. I kind of knew I was going to go on and on about a couple of those albums up in the top 10. So I wanted to not make this video painfully long. But yeah, as I said, a little bit of an unusual list, and the lists will get a little more unusual from here, especially the 2005 and 2015 lists. But anyway, as I said, that's what I love about the best of lists on YouTube. They just kind of, I love it when my lists are not like anybody else's. So anyway, that'll do it for this video. Be sure to like it if you liked it. And before you go, drop me some feedback in the comment section. I'd love to know what you think. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell icon to catch my future videos, and hit my username to browse my old videos. Links to my socials and my favorite fellow YouTubers are in the description below. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time, and remember, life's too short to be a music snob.